Name, please.
I'm Richard Goodall. I'm from Terre Haute, Indiana.
It's a cool Indiana morning, and the sound of brooms, laughter, and footsteps fills the halls of West Vigo Middle School. Standing among it all is a man who, not long ago, was standing on one of the biggest stages in the world. Richard Goodall, the janitor whose voice captivated millions on America's Got Talent, is back home doing what he's always done best, showing up for his community. But the real story doesn't end with a standing ovation or the $1 million prize. What happened after the spotlight dimmed is where Richard's journey truly deepened. A story of faith, humility, loss, and the courage to keep believing when life itself becomes the biggest stage of all. The man behind the microphone. Long before he became a household name, Richard Goodall was simply the friendly janitor at West Vigo Middle School in Terre Haute, Indiana. For over 20 years, he swept the same floors, greeted the same teachers, and smiled at the same students who would come to know him not just for his hard work, but for his extraordinary voice. He was the man who sang as he cleaned, his voice echoing through the hallways, turning ordinary days into moments of joy. For the students, Richard wasn't just an employee, he was a part of their school's soul. Born in Indianapolis and raised in Terre Haute, Richard's life was rooted in simplicity. Music was always a quiet companion, something he did for love, not attention, but fate has a way of finding those who least expect it. The viral moment that changed everything. In 2022, a simple act of kindness would change Richard's life forever. A video of him singing Journey's Don't Stop Believin' at a school event was uploaded online. What started as a local clip meant to highlight his talent quickly caught fire across social media. Within days, millions were watching and sharing his performance. They called him the Singing Janitor. His voice, soulful, heartfelt, and raw, resonated deeply with people far beyond Indiana. Before long, producers from America's Got Talent reached out. For Richard, who had never even been on a plane before, the idea of performing on national television was surreal. But he took the leap, literally and figuratively, flying for the first time to Los Angeles in May 2024 to audition. That one step would change his life forever. The audition that captured America's heart. When Richard walked onto the AGT stage, he wasn't a polished pop star or a trained performer. He was a man in his 50s, wearing his heart on his sleeve, standing before a sea of lights and cameras. Then, as the opening chords of Don't Stop Believin' began, everything changed. His voice filled the theater, powerful, emotional, and deeply human. The crowd rose to their feet, the judges were visibly moved, and when the golden confetti rained down, it wasn't just a victory, it was validation. Overnight, Richard Goodall became a national sensation. Millions connected with his story of hope, hard work, and never giving up on your dreams, no matter your age or job title. Climbing the ladder of dreams. Through each round of the competition, Richard's performances built upon one another, blending vocal strength with heartfelt emotion. In the quarterfinals, he sang Michael Bolton's How Am I Supposed to Live Without You, dedicating it to his fiancée, Angie Vanovan, who had been his biggest supporter. It wasn't just a song, and it was a love letter sung before the world. In the semifinals, Richard showed his grit and versatility with Survivor's Eye of the Tiger. By the finale, he returned to Journey's Faithfully, a song that carried personal meaning, one he had sung to Angie long before the fame. When the results were announced in September 2024, the world cheered as Richard Goodall was crowned the winner of America's Got Talent. For a man who had once been overlooked, the moment was pure triumph. Reconnecting the past. As if his story wasn't already remarkable, fate had one more surprise for Richard. In early 2025, with Angie's encouragement and the help of ancestry records, he tracked down his biological father, a retired K-9 police officer and Army veteran living in Indianapolis. For decades, Richard had grown up not knowing this part of his history. Their meeting, after all those years, was emotional and healing. Through that discovery, he also found 3 siblings he never knew existed. The reunion gave him a sense of belonging he had quietly longed for all his life. It was proof that even in midlife, there are still new chapters waiting to be written and new families waiting to be found. Staying grounded. After the glory, winning America's Got Talent often launches people into the fast lane of fame. But Richard's next move surprised everyone. He went back to work at West Vigo Middle School. While some winners chase record deals or Hollywood dreams, Richard chose humility. He returned to the place where it all began, sweeping floors and greeting students just as he had before. "It's who I am," he said in an interview. "I'm still at the school. I'll be here until I can't anymore." That decision made America love him even more, because success didn't change him. It simply amplified what was already there: gratitude, faith, and heart. Still, behind the scenes, opportunities began to build. Concert invitations, public events, and recording sessions all started to appear. But Richard made sure every step forward stayed connected to his roots. The voice of Indiana, after his win, Richard's calendar quickly filled with performances. He sang the national anthem at an Indiana Pacers game, opened for Howie Mandel in California, and headlined the Circle of Light ceremony in Indianapolis. Each time, his warm smile and humble demeanor reminded audiences that fame hadn't changed the janitor who once sang in school hallways. His hometown honored him with a symbolic key to the city, celebrating not just his talent, but his humility. Students at West Vigo threw a pep rally, cheering as their janitor-turned-star performed for them once again. It wasn't about the fame, it was about community pride, a local man proving that greatness can come from anywhere. The music takes shape. For all his humility, Richard still dreams big. After months of planning and studio work in Nashville, he announced his debut single, Long Time Coming, set for release in August 2025. The title says it all: a lifetime of patience, struggle, and perseverance finally paying off. He's also joined a local band, Sugar Street, keeping his connection to live performance alive while exploring a solo career. Under the guidance of new music managers, Richard's journey is evolving into a professional chapter filled with recording sessions, collaborations, and even talk of a memoir or biopic. Angie jokes that Zac Efron could play him, a reminder that laughter too is part of his success. Full circle, a return to the stage. In August 2025, Richard returned to America's Got Talent for the show's 20th anniversary special. It was a full circle moment. Standing once again under the stage lights, he opened the show with Eye of the Tiger, backed by fellow AGT alumni, drummers, dancers, and musicians from across the show's history. The performance wasn't just a reunion, it was a celebration of how one man's dream had become part of a larger legacy. Watching his original audition play back on screen brought tears to his eyes. "It feels like yesterday," he said softly. "I was just a janitor with a song. And now, look where that song took me." Looking ahead, faith, family, and the future. As he looks toward the future, Richard Goodall's priorities are simple: faith, family, and music. He and Angie have discussed retiring to Florida, trading Indiana winters for sunshine and a slower pace. He dreams of buying a home where he can write songs, perform, and finally rest after decades of hard work. Professionally, he hopes to collaborate with Simon Cowell and release a full album that tells his story through music. Personally, he wants to keep inspiring others, reminding people that life's greatest opportunities can come when you least expect them. "The sky's the limit," Richard said recently. "A year ago, I was just taking out the trash. Now anything feels possible." Conclusion: the voice that never stopped believing. Richard Goodall's story is not just about winning America's Got Talent. It's about faith, love, loss, and the extraordinary power of perseverance. He has shown that dreams don't expire with age, and that humility is the truest mark of greatness. From the quiet hallways of a middle school to the biggest stage in America, Richard never stopped believing, not in fame, but in himself. And that's what makes his voice so powerful. It's not just a sound, it's a reminder to everyone who's ever felt overlooked that hope can live anywhere, even in a janitor's song echoing down a school hallway.